Hey YouTube, CatmanAwesome9 here with a deck that I find to be really interesting and pretty fun, Ninzektors. So you can see it's your generic Inzektor lineup, but I have 2 Upstart Ninjas, 3 Hanzos, and a BLS for the light and dark plays that opens. Plus I run the 3 Transformation Arts. And in the extra deck I get to run a Blade Armor Ninja. Which makes Crimson Armor Ninja OTK plays, or at least 7k damage plays off of those 2. So, and that's completely possible with this deck, which is pretty interesting. It's a really fun deck. Just figured this way you guys can just kind of pause it and screen cap it if you really want to see the deck profile. Later I can do that because I'm using screen cap or Screencast-O-Matic, and this is my first time using it, so. I know I only have like 15 minutes to do stuff, so we'll just go ahead and bring up the replays. It's going to do this really weird thing, and it's going to start playing a random replay and give me errors at the bottom, so don't pay attention to that. There's something messed up with my Dev Pro or something, I don't know. Figure we go ahead and we'll start with, where is it? Ninzektors versus, go ahead and watch play against Blue Eye Prophecy first. This is a pretty interesting deck that I played against, actually. It was a pretty interesting matchup. And the beginning, this guy commented after I summoned Hanzo, he goes, "Oh, another ninja player." So, and of course, I don't use the chat because, I'm too pro for that, like, well. But as you saw, I did open Upstart too, so I had way more plays than I went for, but I just wanted to set up because I knew I had Ladybug in hand, and as long as he didn't have Heavy Storm, I had a play. But he Darkhold for 1. I don't agree with that. I really don't. Again, I do it later because Jowgen too strong, but you had to get rid of that Jowgen later. You just watch. He goes ahead and he grabs his maiden, which is really OP as crap. He Dark Holes me, and I'm like, okay. And he Spellbook Star Halls. I'm like, alright. And then he just ends his turn, and I'm like, okay, well, I have another Hanzo in hand. I can search out the 3rd Transformation Art, and I top decked Hornet. And I was like, oh boy. Oh, goody. It's like, alright, I can do this. Okay, get that 3rd transformation. Go ahead and get out that. Awesome Dragonfly play. Now this is this is why I like this deck. On top of its being interesting and it's semi-consistent. If you top well enough, you can always do well with any deck, but for not running any draw power, which feel free to modify if you want to play it. I'm actually kind of thinking about throwing in Allures because I do kind of need Allure Darkness and probably the 2 dualities for consistency reasons, but as you can see right there, I'm going to have a 1000 and a 1600, so I went ahead and went straight to battle phase because I was like, okay, he's just going to get out of Blue Eyes. And I have 2 level 5s, and I don't know why he activated the effect. He would have taken way less damage, but I went to Volcra Source anyway, and this is why I didn't. Well, if I had known he had Jowgen, I would have understood, but I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm playing against. And I saw the Magician of Prophecy at one point. I think he activated Secrets or something. He normal summons one of these later, but he normal summoned Jowgen, and I was like, oh, really? He pitched one to destroy my field, and he attacked for 200, and I was like, okay, that's not bad. I can deal with Jowgen. I Darkhold because I really wanted to extend with my Upstart. I think that's what I end up doing. Yeah, because I draw into this, and I'm just like, or no, do I get a huge Hornet? I think I just pump Hornet up. No? Oh, that's right. I transform into a 3200 Centipede because I'm like, or no, it's a 3800 Centipede because I increase his attack by an extra, a 37 because I gave him another extra 500 attack. I'm so good at math right now, but I went ahead and swung, and he was just like, okay, 1300 life points, and he's just like, I remember he said like, interesting deck, and it's a really interesting deck. It's not the most consistent, but as you saw, he just drew into Fate and was like, okay, Prophecy, Search, Secrets, and then I think he checked his graveyard after that and realized that he did not have 3 spellbooks, or any spellbooks for that matter, to bounce back one of my things, and he didn't know which one was still hooked to my field or not. I don't think he may have forgotten, so there's that. Here I'm playing against Jirax. This is another really good play, or a really good game. It came down to the wire, but as you can see, he's running like a janky 50 card or a 48 card deck, and if you look at his extra deck, I checked this just after I played him because I was confused. It's not too bad. He actually built a really good extra deck. You can tell this guy actually plays the game quite a bit, and he's a pretty experienced player. Um, Based on his choices in his deck. Like, he chooses to play Jurassic World because he understands that his Guaibas and his Velos need more attack. This is another play I don't agree with. But I guess he was afraid of a Raikou or something that was going to flip up and pop his field. So he goes ahead and does that. And he could have just minus the 1. He could have plus 1 and cleared my whole back row. But instead, he just goes for the 4K. I don't agree with this play, though. As you'll see, he knocks me down to half my life points in one turn. And he very well could have set up for game if he went into Logia, but he didn't. He just leaves his field like this. And I don't know if he did it by accident or if he just wasn't thinking about it. But as you can see, my hand's not any better. But I'm just like, okay, I'll just normal summon the Dragonfly, make a 2400 Dragonfly, and that way if he pops any in my back row, at least I'll get, if he has heavy, and decides to heavy to minus, I don't know why I thought that was going to plus, but I was like, okay, so I'll just kill the Guaiba. No problem here. And I forgot that his just wasn't when he's attacked and destroyed, it's when he's destroyed by battle. So he just goes straight into battle phase, runs me over. And again, another play that I just don't agree with what he does here. He goes into Dino, right? So you're like, okay, that's a level 3 tuner and a level 1 tuner. And then I was like, okay, Alio, what does that do? And I was thinking about breakthrough skilling, and then I realized that resolves Engrave, so he can still tribute. It's a waste. And I knew he was going to go for Black Rose, and I was just like, nah, I'll just go ahead and Valor that. Or break through that. And I was like, I know I've got to break through its live Engrave next turn, so any more effects he's got, then I've still got him. I don't think I point for pointed because I just didn't think that it was a good idea, so I said this is a bluff. I was just like, okay, let's see what he does. And I probably shouldn't have given him an extra turn. If I had known he had something like this set, I probably wouldn't have. And he goes ahead and pitches the extra Jurassic World and grabs out Destroyosaurus. And I was like, okay, so he's got a 21 and a 24. So is he going to point for point and Reborn? And then he synced 7. And I was like, okay, so he's probably going to Giga Noto. What? And then he heavied, which, again, I don't think that was a good idea because it allowed me to bring out my Hornet in defense. And then he didn't exceed. If we look again, I don't think he's running... no, he's only running Big Eye at 1, just in case this happens. But as you can see, he's got me pretty much beat. If you just look at the life points, you're just like, wow, that's unfortunate. But he had nothing in hand. I had no fear. I went ahead and reborned. I was like, that's cool. I'll just bring back my Dragonfly, equip him with Hornet, and then I'll pop this. I think I ended up popping 2 and then normal summoning a Centipede. Or did I just pop 1? I can't even remember how I ended this game. All I remember was I was like, okay, let's see what I can do with this hand. We'll see what I can make plays with. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pop 2, and I'll search. And I'll grab another Centipede, so I have more Centipede plays. And I normal summon Centipede. Then I equipped him with with him. That was just to get damage on board. So now he's reduced to top decking. As you can see, the next card in his deck was Hunting Instinct, and mine was Bookamoon. But he top decks under the Hunting Instinct. Unfortunately for him, if he had drawn into anything else, he probably could have gamed me the next turn. But Hunting Instinct only works out of hand. If it worked out of deck, this card probably would have won him the game, but I went ahead and popped it anyway because I was like, okay, that's probably a Mirror Force because, and as you can see, I don't think he's even running it, but he is running Cylinders, so, just those kinds of little things that I run into and I get afraid of because, nobody plays it, but a few people. And I was like, okay, I'll go hard. I was like, I'm going to go as hard as I can, so I'm going to search 2, and then I'm going to bring back my Dragonfly. And I'm gonna have Gigamantis, and I think I just added back Gigamantis in the spell card like usual. Yeah, I always add those 2 if I can off a Centipede because it gives me a 3200 Centipede. So never minus. I just go ahead and pop that, and then I was just like, I was just looking at this going, I could go really hard right now. So. And originally, I didn't even think about. I think that I was making this play up as I went. I was like, okay, I'll go into Leviair because that's the biggest one I can go into. All right, then I'll equip him, and then I'll just punch for 32. And I can't remember if I think he just takes it too, which is honorable way to go. I don't do that very often. I tend to just quit out a lot because I get angry. But There you saw this deck doing the more Inzektor side. You saw there's very little of the ninjas. I don't think I even played a ninja. I may have summoned Hanzo once, but let's see here. We'll grab one more game I think I have time for. I gotta find one. Ninzectors. I like this. I think I'm going to show off this game for my last game here. Photons suck. I love that name. The only reason I call it that was because all night I'd been playing against Photons, and all it was doing was driving me nuts. Like, I was getting so mad because Photons just would whoop me every time because they'd go into that new Felgrind dragon. And Felgrind is just OP as crap, honestly. He's a Veiler plus, if I Dark Hole, he can chain it and then protect his own Felgrind, and if I MST something, he can chain. If I use Hornet, he can chain Felgrind and protect Felgrind. And it's just like, because I was just like, okay, I've got an awesome hand. I can turn 1 go into Shadow Armor and set 2. I've got this. There's nothing he can do. Of course, he opened MST. Like I said, back row hate, effect negation just kills this deck. So I got lucky, didn't run into too many Veilers, but I did run into a lot of Space Typhoons. And he goes into Excel Light, and then he uses the Photon Lizard to search, which is kind of like the generic play. I personally, I don't know. I guess this play makes sense when you look at the fact that he can't normal summon, and then next turn he had a play set up that way. But to go just to go for this, I thought was kind of a waste, and I was just like, that's cool, Book of Moon. I don't really care because I had Hornet in hand. He knew I had Hornet in hand, and he was just kind of like, oh, that sucks. And of course, I top into the Giga Manus because too strong. I get that 3200 Centipede guaranteed that way. I can just go pop, and then I can go effect, and then I can search, and then equip. Make his original attack 24, increase it by 800, and then I can swing for 24 and 32, which is almost game. That is that's 5600 damage. That is a hefty chunk of life, and gets him all the way down to where he is a kill. So the next turn, he goes for the obvious play, but he draws into Heavy Storm. I don't know why he does this either. He heavies. I guess just to get him low enough to run over, but I was like, okay, I'll just pitch off the Dragonfly, and then I'll add Dragonfly to hand with Zectcalibur, and I thought that Giga Manus had gone off. I wasn't really paying attention, because it doesn't really tell you, so I grabbed Giga Manus, and I special summoned him instead, so I accidentally just ended up adding the sword and a Giga Manus back to my hand for later. I don't think I do anything really after this. I think that he goes into Radiant Galaxion, because between that and Felgrind, I think this deck will be a real threat later. I think that next format, definitely this deck is going to be insane because of Felgrind and that, and the fact that dragons are probably going to get hit a little bit, and I just based that on all the different tournaments they've won. So if they hadn't won so many world qualifiers, I probably wouldn't say that. But and then, as you can see, he didn't kill the Shadow Armor, so I mean, I understand killing the Centipede, but I top decked into Centipede, and of course, because the shenanigans were too strong with me, he knew I was going to pop him, run him over, and that was going to be game. So that's all for this video. I'll go ahead and go bring back up the deck. This is Ninzectors. If you guys have any sort of suggestions for the deck, I'd be willing to take them. I'm gonna keep playing this deck. I think I'm gonna build this deck in real life because it's a really fun deck, and it's not super expensive because I've already got like this, and this is like $5. This is like $10. I have most of this extra deck. I think I have everything in it except for like the Exostag, the Crimson Shadow, the Volca, and the Adreus, and then I have almost all the main deck except for like the Hornet and the Giga Manuses. So and 2 of these. So it'll cost me in total like $20 maybe. Oh, and the breakthrough skills, so maybe a lot more than $20, but with the reprints, I don't know. I still haven't looked into those. I may replace those with Veilers, but... So that's it for this. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you later.